another guest here, Mustafa Barghouti, Secretary General of the Palestinian National Initiative, who joins us live from Ramallah, occupied West Bank. Thank you so much for joining us, sir. Mr. Barghouti, I want to ask you about these images that we've seen about the detained Palestinian men stripped down to their underwear, kneeling beside Israeli soldiers. What was your reaction when you saw these images?
Shocked and angry. And I think this is one of the gravest violations of human rights. Maybe if the world sees that, will understand the kind of behavior that this Israeli fascist army is doing. I mean, keeping these men, these are all civilians, by the way. They're not military people. They were sheltering in shelters, hiding away from bombardment. They are civilians, they are fathers, they are mothers. One of them is a well-known journalist who is the director of Al Arabi Al Jadid bureau in Gaza. So they are all civilians. They're doctors, nurses, human rights activists, workers, simple, honest civilian people. And look how they've treated them. Look at the humiliation they are inserting on them. This is unacceptable by all standards, but it seems that the Israelis lost any sensitivity to human rights, any sensitivity to the issue of how the world looks at them, and they're just behaving as a fascist government. Only Nazis would do that to this amount of people in this terrible manner. And I don't know why this kind of terrible atrocity against humanity, this alone should be considered a war crime against the Palestinian people.
What do you make of these statements from the U.S., from Antony Blinken, saying that there's this gap between Israel's intent to protect civilians and the actual results on the ground?
The statements are absolutely not enough and not satisfying. As a matter of fact, they could be used as a cover for what Israel is doing. It's aiming at releasing some of the pressure by talking about a little bit different position of the United States of America. But in reality, no serious pressure is exercised on Israel. It's talks, while Israel continues to bombard, continues to kill, continues to arrest and torture and injure, and not only in Gaza Strip, but also in the West Bank. This morning, they killed 6 Palestinian civilians in Far'a camp in the north of Palestine.
So what kind of actions would you like to see then from the U.S.?
Pressure to have immediate ceasefire. Now they have an opportunity. There is a meeting of the Security Council at the request of Mr. Guterres, who used part of the Constitution of the United Nations, which was not used for the last 30 years, to alert the world that this situation is endangering the whole world's security. And he's demanding immediate and full ceasefire.
But a demand from the U.S., sir, will that actually have any kind of impact on the ground?
If they support ceasefire, of course. If the United States of America allowed the Security Council to pass a resolution demanding immediate and full ceasefire, and permanent one, yes, this will have a big impact. But I doubt that they will do that. Since the beginning of this aggression, they've been partners with Israel, not only in advocacy of Israeli positions, but in sending American troops, 2,000 troops, in sending their aircrafts, their carriers, and in providing Israel with no less than 200 planes full of weapons and explosives, in providing Israel with these terrible bombs, each of which is 2,000 pounds, some of which have killed up to 100 people in each attack in Jabalia and in other places. The United States has been deeply involved in this attack and in this aggression, and it has to stop that. And they have so many instruments if they want to enforce ceasefire, to force Israel to stop this attack, especially that the majority of the American public is against the policy of Mr. Biden and his state secretary when it comes to what's happening in Gaza.
Mustafa Barghouti, Secretary General of the Palestinian National Initiative, thank you so much for joining us here on the News Hour.